Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's show, we're going to tackle the dwarf pyracantha. So in the wild, these things can get about 8 to 10 feet tall. We got those berries, those nice red orangish berries that grow on there. And we're going to see what this is all about because I've never had one before, so this is new to me. Good time to repot, as with most bonsai, early here in the spring. We're about midway through March. The first day of spring was officially yesterday on the 19th. And we got a cold day outside, so just more transplanting, repotting on the inside. Let's attack this pyracantha. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. Try and get rid of those air pockets. So this is a Brussels purchase, Brussels bonsai. Bought this online. It was delivered in the fall. I put it right in my cold frame. Now these trees are good down to about 10 degrees above zero, but I put this one in my cold frame because, you know, in Minnesota we're going to get much below that. But it's been in good shape, stored in my cold frame. I don't know what's going to be the front when I transplant it. This seems to be a better front than this guy because of this shooting right out at us. Looks a little bit awkward there. So something like this, but we'll figure that out after we get out of this pot. I'm just going to repot today, so I'm going to put this thing right back into the same pot. When I looked up the Pyracantha online and did a little bit of digging, because this is a new species for me, I did find out that they do like a little bit deeper pot. So I'm going to keep it right in here because this is a pretty deep pot, and we will start digging away. I believe this was watered fairly recently out in the cold frame, so we're going to have a little bit of wet soil in here. But this soil is coming from, as I said, Brussels nursery, and probably going to be really good soil. Not going to be clumping too hard, I don't believe. I got the wire right there already. We'll be able to get this thing out and do some good work. Cut that wire off there. Cut that wire off there. Looks like I have two wires in here. That was one. And we'll dig for the other one. So it's going to be gentle at first. This is a new root system to me. Until I've seen roots in a tree, I have no idea how delicate they are. In most of my bonsai research, when I look for just kind of the care guides, I don't typically see a lot of trees that say sensitive roots. But there certainly have been a few species that have gone ahead and done some repotting where the roots were super tender. I'm going to go ahead and cut the other one off. See if we can find it that way and pull it on a, oh yeah, piece of cake. So there you go. We're going to keep that pot. We'll wash it up a little bit. And there we go. That's where it was connected. And we've got the screen in there. I can save that and recycle that. And it was tied up here. Got a little bit of moss on here. Just throw that in another one of my pots here in the plant room and see if it continues to grow. It's one thing I don't have a lot of laying around is extra moss. I've had a tough time getting moss. I haven't really searched too terribly well for moss. There we go. They cut that one down right down to the nub in both cases. All right, wire that I can recycle. So I'm seeing a fair amount of roots right off the bat. They're really dark in color, so I'm not able to see exact. We got some nice root structures down there. We're just going to keep plugging away super slowly here. Oh, there's the other screen. See if we can break up some of this soil and not too much of the roots. Though we do, of course, trim our roots, so we don't have to be worried about every little piece of root that might fall off. They got some pine bark in here. I'm going to go to my three-part soil mix. There's been some discussion with some of our Facebook chat groups for the Minnesota Bonsai Society, and one of the questions came up about soil mixture again. Seems like we'll be talking about soil and bonsai forever and ever. And the topic of conversation was, again, the three-part mix. 1 part akadama, 1 part pumice, and 1 part lava rock. And when you get into your better trees, super nice trees that are really starting to be refined, and you get into those really nice, old, trained for years, your prized possessions, you might be wanting to go more with a lot more akadama in your soil mix, and not a 3-part blend. And so listening to people talk about this a little bit, or seeing the posts come in, the biggest thing that I gathered from that is, of course, akadama. For those of you that might not know, akadama is going to hold more moisture. And if you want to slow down your growth of your tree, I was told in this thread that you should have less akadama in there, because the more water that's retained in your tree, now there are some trees that really like that extra wetness, but if you want to slow down your tree, you should have the more of the akadama. Well, that makes sense in the refinement stage, because you don't want it to go crazy anymore. You want it to refine out, get those branches to go to 2 to 4 to 6 and all that. But in the growing phase, when it's just in development, and you're just going to want those trees to grow, you maybe want less akadama. Well, that's a good thing for me, because akadama is certainly pricier. A lava rock, lava rock is way cheaper than the akadama, and so is pumice. So yeah, if I maybe go 2 parts pumice, 2 parts lava rock, and then 1 part akadama, we'll get a little bit in there to retain some moisture, and akadama is going to be the material that breaks down the most. And yeah, you'll have more drainage of your soil that way, a little bit more air, a little more oxygen. We're always trying to find that balance between oxygen and water and your soil. And so if it's going to be the akadama, it's going to be more wet. If it's going to be more pumice and lava rock, well, that's going to make it drain a little bit faster and dry out a little bit faster, and apparently, according to this thread of discussion, that's going to help your tree to grow faster. A little more robust growth when you have less of that akadama in there. We're getting there. So we got a lot of big roots in here, a lot of thicker roots, big roots, not a lot of fine roots, some on the bottom side here. I'm going to do my first little trimming of roots now. I'm going to move over to this side. So again, when I'm first cutting roots, I'm just going to get some of these big clumps dangling down, because we're going to shorten them regardless in this process. I'm going to get new growth, just like we want the branches to ramify up here. We want these roots to ramify out too. So I have a big root right here. It's going down here, curves around here, and it's a good inch or 2 from where the bottom or the top of the soil was before. But we're going to have to dig in there a little bit more to see where this might. Big structure of roots right up here at the top. It seems to be tangled in there a little bit. There we go. Let's spread out a little bit more. I think I have a little clump of dirt in there. Go back to the other side for you here. Probably going to leave some of that alone, and we'll get more of that leftover dirt out the next time, so I'm not completely bare rooting this, but pretty darn close. Throw my scraps away. Alright, so this does go down pretty low, and we'll be able to tuck it in there, so I'm going to cut that one off there. This one as well. Very hard rooting here. So here's this great big root right here. Zigzaggy root that comes back that way down in there. I don't need any of that. We want that to be as flat as possible. Big chunky root that's just not really doing a whole lot for us. We want to get finer and finer root structure. And this is a deeper pot, so these continue to do some of their growing. But like this one right here that just got, move my hands for you. Look at that. We don't need all of that. I can cut them back here and cut it all the way off. I can cut another one all the way off, make it a little bit more flat so it can continue to work to spread out to make our design. Even this one's a little bit long. It's bent back, but it's long. We don't need the whole thing. There we go. So again, we want this thing to fan out. Okay. New species to me, I'm going to cut it right there. My care guide that I found online did not show me or tell me, how much of those roots I should be cutting off. So I don't want to get more than that. I've already got more than half of it cut off. So this is our pot. Put new soil in. I'm going to rinse it out before I put some new stuff in there. But yeah, we got plenty of growing room in there. And it's a nice deep pot, as was recommended, so I'm going to go with that for this one and put it right back in this blue pot from Brussels. So I got to put my screens back in, but first I'm going to go wash this. So I'll go take care of that and we'll be back. Got one of the screens in already. Go ahead and put that other screen in here. Make sure that soil doesn't fall out. This pot has some nice deep legs in here, so these wires are not going to stick out and scratch any benches or anything that I'm worried about. I'm going to get some soil on the bottom, but first let's put our two tie downs in. These are leftover ties from the last tree I did. I know I have plenty of length. There's one. And there's two. So now I have my wires in there ready to go. Let's get some soil. Alright. So now we have to do some thinking about where this thing's going to come out and look and the angle. So this thing does a nice big Y split here after a nice curve this way, so it's got some great movement right there. So I kind of like that right there, but then this is kind of in our way too much. If I go this way, I don't know if I like that too much. If I lean it towards the viewers here, so we can see that V cut, it looks a little bizarre. I think kind of at this angle still kind of works best. I've got some roots up top here that might be exposed. But it has this nice movement here. Then it goes this way, then it goes that way. So we could almost get rid of this branch right here, this great big branch right off the bat, and just go with this whole structure right here instead of this line. But since it's a new tree to me and I don't know how it's going to grow, how much growth per year, I'm just going to not cut too much off. But I still want to make it look as much like the bonsai that I would like to have. course, trees can always be wired. I try to do a lot of cutting and growing, clipping and growing, but it can also, we can do some wiring and move things as we need to. Just that little turn and twist gets those branches right there a little bit, something nicer to look at. I could cut this branch back here off too and have this curve continue to go this way before we come back in like a traditional, more of an S curve here. Need a little bit more soil, I think. This one is going to have a little bit of depth in here for it to grow in for sure. I'm hugging over to this right side because it's curving over to the left and I got all this growth over there. I think we'll do that right there. And then because there's a lot of surface roots right there, I'm gonna try to poke this one right through to the other side. I'll lift it up here and just see if I can do some poking. I certainly can. Some of that dirt that remained. There we go. And that'll tie to that one. So I can get an initial connection point back here. A couple twists. Alright, so that's through that part of the tree. So that means this one's going to have to come. I think I want it to come over this side right over here, underneath this root. All right, so 2 wires are in. Then you got to look at that thing right here. What can I do with that? It's in there okay without even twisting it all. But I want to make sure. Last time I was too quick to make my decision and it turned out to be right in the center. This is kind of coming up in the center too. Now you notice this part of it's actually going straight up now, and you don't typically want to go straight up. However, down here by the soil line is where the curve is, so it curves into the straight and then goes over this way. So this part's only perpendicular just for a little bit, but maybe we don't want that quite as much. Maybe we want it to be more like that. That looks a little less perpendicular, and I think I like that better. Get a couple of twists on the back one. Pause, step back, take a look. Yeah, we got some nice movement here. This is still out front, but we'll deal with that later. I think we're going to do it, leave it right there. So I'm just going to do another twist or two. Put that one down. And then another twist. Just one. Put that one down. Now we need some more soil. Once the soil covers up that dirt, now we now got that movement now. Gonna get that bamboo stick down in there and start shaking a little bit, get all those finer particles down lower, fill in some of those gaps. And again, for a reminder for anybody who might be new to the channel, new to bonsai, we're doing this to get rid of the air pockets. We want as little air pockets down there as possible. We want a balance of the amount of soil, the amount of air, and the amount of water when we're working on our bonsai. So I'm trying to tuck a root down right now that wanted to stand straight up and still wants to stand straight up. Just by that little wiggling, I was able to get rid of some more soil. We don't want to have too much of a mound on our soil where the water just drains right off. I'm a pretty good waterer in that sense, that I make sure that I'm letting it get doused, so I typically don't worry about myself, but we don't want to have too much chance for that water to just run right off. And I also will put some sphagnum moss on here in the spring. In another couple of weeks when I'm outside doing some outside work, I will grate some sphagnum moss into smaller particles, try to blend that in with some old moss or any moss I have laying around, and then we're gonna be able to get some growth on that after a season. Let's give this thing a watering. I always love the repotting season when you can give it a nice new clean look. Brussels, of course, does an amazing job and has great trees, and I've never been disappointed. But it's so nice to get our own hands on it, on our trees. And who knows where that water just dripped to, huh? All right. Alrighty. So I will cut a couple of things off. I'll do a little bit of trimming up top, just to kind of guide it this spring in its growth. So let's make a few of those decisions now. So again, we've got some movement this way, and then this one comes this way and goes that way. We do have a branch that's sticking right in our face right here, so I'm just going to cut that one right off. I want to see my trunk line here. A couple of these are also got a lot. Looks like a lot of back bud and a lot of growth that's going to possibly happen here. Just all kinds of little potential branches for the year. These are all coming right at me now. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this piece right here. I have a branch that's coming right here, so I'm going to cut to that one. So instead of coming towards us anymore, this will grow more up instead of at us. This one as well. There's growth behind it and definitely some buds back there, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that one there so it's not in our face. This one I'll just shorten down. Don't know what this branch is going to do at the moment. I've got kind of a weird fork this way. I might normally cut this one off. I'm going to think about that one a little bit. This is where another cut was recently. I'm going to cut this stump off right here. That's from maybe last year's growth. We have a little bit of a bulge right here. So we have a tree branch back here, this one here, and there's one small one back here you can't see with my finger right there. There's that one. So it's creating some of this bulge. There's a heel mark, looks like, right here as well. So there was a branch that was coming up here that was cut recently. So I have a decision to make. Do I keep that bulge and see what happens? I'll show you again. I made that cut to this point up here, but I got these growing back here. I'm going to go ahead and go down just a little bit further. And so this has got some potential to make some growth, but I need some catch up back in here too. So this is real heavy right now. It might soak up all the energy. So I'm considering even cutting this off right to here. Cut this whole thing off at this bulge and have this be the new growth. Back here some growth. We got this one and this one are very strong. So if we want to go thick to thinner, we've got this long branch right here. Look at this. This is a good 6 to 8 inches of the same size branch. We don't have any thinning out. Now this isn't a ramified tree. This isn't in refinement by any stretch, but still, to have this great big long chunky thing right here, this is just going to get thicker and thicker, and there's no branches down here to support thickening down here. So part of me, I think I'm going to make a bold move right here, and I'm going to go to this one right there. So this one's going to be the new apex at the moment. Okay. All right, so we'll let that harden off. I'll leave this for now, but I do have a branch back here that's competing against it. It's going to make another bulge, so we're just going to cut that right off right there. You won't even be able to see that from that side anymore. So this is going to become my new leader right here, and we'll just let that grow and see what happens to this tree this year. This one might grow some leaves up here to fill up back here. These little ones could grow back here. This structure right here, I got two coming out from one spot. I'm going to take the bottom one off so we don't get a bulge there. And the rest there. So now this one back here will grow up here and fill up this spot right here. Now this one's not too big. Now because I did that, this side's a little lopsided, so right away from the length I'm going to cut off right here. I don't need that. I could put this in my cuttings and see if I could get some cuttings, as well as the last one I just cut off. I can experiment. This one's a little thick, but we can give it a try. Always like to try. I got this little guy going right in the inside. I don't like that right there. This cleans up the path to see this branch back here. And we'll just let these two grow for now, because I got branch, 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 and this one's thick again. And now here we go. This one's coming right at my face. I don't want that one. Now it opens up the tree more for some possibilities. And if we go even more drastic, which I'm going to do, is we're going to cut this one off right there. And the reason why I did that is because now instead of all this tree growing at us like it was, we have now branches that are going up and out, and hopefully this can all fill in. And I can maybe use this as a potential cutting as well. Again, new species to me, I have no idea what that's going to do. So we'll see. So I got a few cuttings, or a few branches a little bit shorter. This one back here is a little long still, but it kind of matches this and gives me somewhat of a oh gosh, the lollipop look, broom look, if you will. So for right now, as a transplant, new tree to me, I'm going to stop right there. I'm happy with that. We'll just let that grow, put it back in the cold frame for a couple of weeks, and we'll let it grow this year and make sure that we just give it a lot of tender love and care. So there we have it, a Dwarf Pyracantha. New to me, can't wait to see what it does. So for Dave's Bonsai, I'm Dave Weiss, and we'll catch you up on the next one. Welcome back, everyone. I wanted to share something with you that I promised a friend of mine I'd put on the YouTube channel. I thought it was a good follow-up to the one we just watched with me cutting that Pyracantha. Did you see how easy it was for me to just kind of make those decisions quick and chop, 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 chop? It's not easy when you're beginning in bonsai, so don't feel pressure to cut a lot of stuff at first. But also, on the other hand of things, don't be too afraid to cut. So a friend of mine from the Minnesota Bonsai Society, who's a part of our club, has gotten some new trees and really gotten into this craft in the last, I don't even remember how long, but he's pretty new to the craft. And he shared this little video with me because he's been watching the YouTube videos of mine, and he was, should I cut this? I don't know, should I cut? Take your time. Look at the tree, spin it around, make some decisions, and then, feel confident with a couple decisions. Just go ahead and make that cut. Take other people's advice, listen to what I say and don't listen to what I say. Listen to what the other guys and gals say and then don't listen to what they say. Remember, this is an art form. You do what feels comfortable for you. Don't make too drastic of cuts up front, and I think you'll be okay. But go ahead. They're going to be nervous at first, but you're only going to learn from those cuts. So let's show you this video real quick, and then we'll catch you on the next one. And thanks, Michael, for sending this one in.
All right, making my first official cut as a bonsai enthusiast. So this was grafted here. We're going to keep this one so maybe we can get the trunk a little bit thicker. So then we got this one here. Get rid of the big one, because then we have this one on this side, and we have another one coming off this whorl here. So we'll probably just get rid of that. I don't know, get rid of the small one? So let's make the first one. So we're going to get rid of, we'll keep the smaller one. So we'll do this one, and then back to this one. Why is this so hard to do? keep those two, see which one's the stronger leader. So we're gonna get rid of the big guy here, so we don't have as much growth speed here. Ready? And here we go. Oh.
Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. We try to get rid of those air pockets.